is individualized trust. Then my trust in INEC is a collective trust. So all the nitty-gritty of agents, individuals, and all associations around INEC has to work in unison before you can attain a collective trust. But maybe you deal with something and you like them and they discharge their duty in impeccable, honorable way. You have individualized trust. So we need to weigh these things. Sometimes we also, if we reverse this, we might distrust some individuals and we project it to the organization. You know, so you can say the EO in my local government is a criminal. Then INEC people are criminals. You know that that's not logic. It's not logical at all. Because your premise and your conclusion doesn't match. There's a fallacy there. Okay, so we need to be mindful of this. We need to be mindful of the concept of generalized and particularized trust. Okay, so that when we are saying there's high trust, low trust, in what dimension are we talking about this? The other thing, and that's the next slide. The other thing that we can actually flip through this. We need to highlight, because I'm trying to say that, is that trust is a process, not an event. Okay? Let me go to the next. Trust is a process, not an event. So essentially, there are four phases of trust. So if you look at the figure I showed you at the beginning of the presentation, what it shows you is that trust went up and then came down and then it's going up again, or it continues to decline. So it shows a movement up and down. That shows us that trust is not a unilateral thing. It's a process. There are essentially four elements of that process. The first one is trust building. Okay? The second one is trust violation. The third one is trust rebuilding or repair. And then the fourth one is trust maintenance. Okay? So if you go back to that slide, the first one, the figure on where we started. No, the next one. So you see that over the years, that's why I told you that the issue of trust in Nigeria is not a present issue. It's an issue we have been dealing with over the years. And when we are thinking about what to do, we should also put it in that long-term perspective. So what has happened in Nigeria is that we have built trust, we have violated the trust, and we are in an attempt to rebuild the trust. See it in that book. Okay? And we have violated it many, many times. I will come back to that. So we violate it, we try to repair it, we violate it again, we try to repair it. But what we need to do is to now clear up that job of repairing and move to the next level of trust, which is trust preservation for a long time. That's just the element I'm making. So you can go to the next one. So this is what it looks like. And if you compare this figure with the one I showed you, that's where we are. So we started off, we have built trust, okay, and then we have violated it, and we're in the journey of rebuilding the trust. So what does it mean to build trust? Next slide. What does it mean to build trust? Essentially, it's a way institutions, individuals, and processes increase trust in their relationship over time. That's what trust building means. Okay? Then what about violation? It's a transgression. And I like the way the chair ended his speech. He says, all have sinned. Sin is a transgression. It's a transgression that damages one's expectations of another person's competence or integrity. That's what we mean by when we talk about violation. And the next slide. And violation, there are two components of trust violation we must go to. Okay? One is competence violation. The other one is integrity violation. So when you have given somebody a job to do for you, and the person tried, and obviously it's clear that the person is not able to do that job, that person has a competence issue. Okay? So I want us to all the issues we have with the electoral process in Nigeria, we need to put them in this framework. Are they issues of competence? Or are they issues of integrity? Or are they both? Something to reflect on. So that we know, if you don't know where the rain starts between you, you will not know where to end. Okay? So that we know what we are dealing with. And I'll come back in my recommendation, because my recommendation follows this. Okay? So the other type of violation that we talk about is integrity violation. That's when you know that the person has the capability and all the resources to deliver this job. Then he has a character issue. The intentions are not good. This person is determined to do the wrong thing. Even when you have equipped the person with all that is needed. So the challenges we are having with the electoral process in Nigeria, are they challenges of competence? Or are they challenges of integrity? Or both? For the security agencies, the political parties, the civil society organizations, the media, all the agencies are listed. That's the question we need to ask ourselves. Are we dealing with the problem of integrity or the problem of competence, or both? The implication of this is that according to the literature on trust, when you are dealing with the problem of competence, it's easy to solve. It's easier to solve than when you are dealing with the problem of integrity. Because integrity is about attitude and character. The other one is about learning. And if it's the two, then our job is cut out for us. We have a long, long way to go. If it's both. Of course, in some cases, it might be this or that. But I will leave it for you. I just a food for thought that you need to reflect on. Okay, so how do we restore trust? How do we rebuild trust? The literature offers us, remember what I'm doing just to raise conceptual issues. And based on this, we can now discuss practical things. The literature, gives us quite a number of heads-on how to restore trust. Essentially, we have to take some steps to repair what has been damaged. Our integrity expectation and our competence expectations. Okay, so there are essentially 6 major mechanisms and strategies to repair trust. And I hope that all the agencies will pay attention at this, because this is where we need to put ourselves in this framework and begin to work with it. One is the next slide. One is sense making. Okay, I remember after 2023 general election, the biggest recommendation or demand by the observers was to audit that election. We need audit. We need to make sense of what has happened. Okay, we need to know where did this come about. So sense making essentially is we don't know what has happened. We don't know who is responsible for it. We don't know the extent of damage caused and all of that. I remember there was even the discussion about places where election has not taken place. We need to harvest them and take stock of them in order to do a review of that. INEC has done a review internally. It was a long drawn process that started from the local government to the state to the zonal, national level. And there's a huge report on INEC internal audit, election audit itself. But we need to go beyond internal audit. We need an external audit. The National Assembly has a role to play in this because they have the power, because they oversee electoral matters. They have the power to call for legislative review of elections. Because public funds have been spent on this thing, for God's sake. Okay? So if you do that kind of review, you can now, unpack the role of different agencies, the media, the security agencies, all the agencies that are involved. What were their roles? What happened? Why did things not go the way we expected them to go? So we need that sense making. That's the first step you do in rebuilding trust. And you do this honestly and openly. Okay? So if you do that, it's a way of showing up confidence and showing that you have nothing to hide. The other approach is to improve relationship. Okay? You improve relationship. How do you do this? You do public apologies if you think you have done something wrong. And that's how you repair relationship, is it not? If you offend your friend, what do? You go to your friend and say, friend, forget, I was wrong. Okay? So in the relationship between the electoral institutions and the electorate in Nigeria, we need to achieve that level. See it in a relationship framework. That when we breach the trust of the electorate, we need to go back and say, we expected this to happen, but it didn't happen the way we expected. It's that kind of thing. I mean, here, we made a statement and said, we expected things. Everybody disappointed us. The transporters, the staff, everybody, they turned their back on us because they were afraid. And we don't blame them because here it's not an easy place to go to. Okay? But this is what we're going to do to repair this. If you do that, you raise confidence. Okay? So there's a relationship element. There's element of regulation and control in trust rebuilding. So you come up with code of conduct, you come up with policies, processes, sanctions, disincentives. You punish people if you have seen that there is an integrity issue. If you have seen that there's a competence issue, so people should be held responsible. So there's a dimension of ethical culture and informal control. So what is the ethics of the organizations that are involved in the election? How do they manage themselves even before the election? So we need to have ethical constraints on the behavior of individuals that are getting involved in the process. We have tried to do this by writing codes. There's a code of conduct for security agencies in election. There's code of conduct for INEC staff. There's oaths. What do you call it? Oaths. Yeah, we take oaths, which makes us legally liable for our actions. These are all ethical issues. Then we need to strengthen all of this. Okay? And then there's the question of transparency and accountability. Transparency basically involves accurate, timely, relevant provision of information to the public about matters. There's nothing to hide. Regular press conference, engagements like this. And that's why I'm happy that INEC, in fact, the most senior people in INEC and Anambra State are in the room this morning. So this is the red. I've seen the HODs, two important HODs for ICT and for general administration. They're here. So which means we are ready to engage. That's the body language I'm reading in the room. Okay? So if you come to us, we are ready to engage. We come to you, we are ready to engage. And then finally, the sixth one is what we call trust transference. So basically, it involves, if you see that things have really gone bad, you can transfer trust. INEC has done it before. Formerly, INEC Rex used to be the coalition officer for state governorship election. But there was issue. So INEC said, okay, we are going to transfer that responsibility to who? Vice chancellors of the universities. Because they seem independent. So we transferred that responsibility and they transferred trust of us. We do it always. The same thing we did with other levels of staff in the result management process. So we have the returning officers coming from the university. We have all the other staff brought from outside INEC in order to give the process some level of credibility. So that's what we call cross transfer. We have done it and we continue to do it. Okay? Okay. I don't want to spend time on trust preservation because we're not even there yet. Maybe by 2027 we'll be talking about trust preservation, because we are still at the level of. But the whole of this argument is to tell you that we are walking through a long process. So we started off building trust, we violate our trust, and we try to rebuild it. And once we rebuild it, our target will be to maintain it, okay, or to preserve it. That's just the meat of the story. But let me now end this conversation from my own part, and before we end, by asking, how do we repair this trust? Now, specific, I've given you the general framework. Now, in terms of specific ways to do this, and I'm borrowing a framework from two election election practitioners, Peter Wolf and Teresa Lanley. Two of them, they gave us some important framework that can help us to organize our repair effort. And they called it pillars of trust. Can you go back to pillars of trust? They called it pillars of trust. And for them, trust repair is standing on three legs. One leg, I'm going backward, forward. Yeah. So it's standing, trust repair is standing on three legs. Number one leg is on delivery. And of course, if you go back to the foundation, delivery is about what? Competence. If you don't have competence, you can't do it. Okay? So it's about delivery, it's about engagement, it's about integrity. This is all you need to do election. If in summary, that's what I offered you now. If the election manager focus on it. When I was here, that was my focus. Our delivery, our engagement, and our integrity. So these are the three elements that people judge you on that basis. Of all the things you do, they summarize it in these three elements, these three pillars. Okay? So in delivery is about demonstrating that you have the resources, competence, and the capacity to deliver on elections. That's what delivery is all about. But you know there are challenges. In fact, recently I heard the INEC chairman saying that they needed 200 plus billion for during this budget presentation to conduct elections. Okay? But they only got 40. So at the end of the day, if he goes into election with 40, he will do it as I can do now. Whatever he can do. And tomorrow you blame him. Okay? So that's how it is. And people will say, why do you need this much money? Look at what you did. But that was before. Okay? But we need to look at this in terms. So, in order to demonstrate that you have the capacity to deliver, you must have the resources. You have the capacity. Okay? And then engagement. Engagement is about community building. It's about communication. And what we're doing and what IPC is helping us to do by presenting this platform is strong in terms of engagement. Okay? Essentially, having a culture of openness and discussing freely about issues of concern. That's what engagement is. And we're happy that we have a mixed group in this room, including the traditional, religious, and political leaders, all in this place. Okay? So we need this as Anambra is going to have an election in November. So we need more of this kind of engagement. And the body language I'm seeing from INEC is that they are ready to always be part of this. Okay? So we need more of this in order to improve that pillar of engagement. But what we really need to work on from the different agencies and institutions is the question of integrity. Because all I have said today is that integrity trumps every other thing. It trumps competence, it trumps every other thing. Because you can actually buy competence, but you can't buy integrity. You can buy engagement, but you can't buy confidence. If somebody doesn't have integrity, that person is a criminal. There's nothing you can do about it. Okay? So we need systems that will be rooted in ethics, in good character, to be protected. So the commission, the other agencies need to project themselves in that way. We are people of, you can trust us. We are honorable people. We are not dishonorable. We are not going to be unfair to any group. We are not going to manipulate this process because we know the importance. Okay? And so on. This is kind of what is calling from us. So using this framework, what will an actual engagement and action look like? The next slide. So I think that we have basis for engagement, especially for those of us in the civil society and media. What I've done is to derive from another work I've done elsewhere about the kind of recommendations that came out from the election observation in 2023. I distilled the recommendations, and this is, I'm actually ending in one of the slides. I distilled the recommendations. There were a total of 118 recommendations from relevant recommendations. They were more than the relevant ones from election observation groups. Okay? The first thing I did was to classify them. The ones that require legal reforms. So the ones that we need to pass a law in order to achieve. And the ones that require administrative operational changes. So out of the 118, 38 requires legal reform. 80 requires administrative and operational measures. But for the purpose of this presentation, I further categorize them into recommendations relating to religion, recommendations relating to engagement, and recommendations relating to integrity. Three pillars that we have. My aim of doing this is to arm you, CSOs, agencies, institutions, all the people here, arm you with resources to begin to make demands. Okay? To make demands of different agencies and institutions. And tell them this is what we want done in order to repair integrity, to repair competence, and repair engagement. Okay? So in doing that, my categorization is now as follows. 78 recommendations focus on delivery issues out of 118. 10 of them are engagement issues, and 30 of them are concerned with integrity issues. I cannot list all of these, but I have them. But what I've done is to give you a sense of the kind of issues that observers noted in their work. What kind of issues are related to the leader? They want INEC reorganized and possibly unbundled to make it more effective, because their sense is that INEC is doing a lot. INEC is registering parties. INEC is monitoring this. INEC parties. INEC is doing election, conducting accreditation. Look at the list of all the things. So if you unbundle INEC, it will make INEC, that's their assumption. Okay? It will make it more effective in delivery. And then they want inclusion measures. If you introduce convenience voting, okay, where people can go on a day before the election and vote, if they are not going to be there on election day, it will improve the process. Okay, independent candidacy, gender quota, enhancement of IDP voting, and all that. These are all the recommendations that are tailored towards improving the list. But there is also the issue of greater protection of freedoms, especially for media practitioners and for election observers. If you see the kind of things we saw during 2020, especially in Lagos during 2020, where journalists are beaten up because of no other reason than that they want to cover elections. These are honest, acceptable. Okay? So they want improvement in election management, in electoral offenses enforcement mechanism. They want continuous capacity building, of course, to improve competence and training. They want, and these are the kind of things INEC on their own has also acknowledged that they will have need. They want a review and improvement of the electoral logistics and operation mechanism. Start the election in area and finish it early, and then eliminate all these hazards in the process. It's not just about the election, but also all other activities, including collection of PVC. When I was in Anambra, I registered in Enugu. And in fact, I had to go to his office to protest to be able to get my PVC as a rep. I'm telling you, he's here. So it's not easy for anybody. I wasn't a rep, I was a voter in that sense. Yeah, because once you leave the office, you're no more that. I was a voter in that sense because I registered in Enugu. Okay? And then we want to improve experience of prospective voters during electoral activity. If you let it be a thing of joy, people were telling me stories of how they trekked for hours to go and vote, how they were beaten off, after they have voted. This is not, it shouldn't be pain. It shouldn't. It should be an enjoyable experience. Okay? And then improve oversight over INEC. These are delivery-related recommendations that we can run with as agencies, as individuals, as organizations, and so on. Let me just touch briefly engagement related with communication. There are just 3 of them, but there is a long list. If you want, I can send it to you. Develop and implement long-term coordinated civic and voter education programs. We don't do that. Anambra has been on holiday, and I'm telling you, beginning from maybe the next quarter, fire will start all over the state. No, I mean in terms of civic engagement by CSOs. That's what I mean. You don't see much. Okay? Then we also want an improved communication strategy. How do we engage each other? And then timely, inclusive consultation and dialogue. That's part of what we're doing. And then finally, what are the, I don't need it, I'm finished. This is the last slide. Then finally, what do we need to do to improve integrity? Election observers has given us hints of what we need to do. One, review the process of appointment of INEC commissioners. It was a big fall in the past. Okay? Develop and implement a system to ensure accountability. Develop and implement a system to ensure transparency. Okay? Improve result management process. Don't shut out observers from coalition. There's no need. There's really no need. Okay? Promote transparency and accountability in election campaign. Institute an independent audit, not the INEC one. INEC one is good for INEC, but we also need a state commission for the government. In fact, there was something they called there, post-election review, here, post-election review. It's a practice that we need to embed. Okay, improve election, prosecution of election offenders, because there's high immunity when it comes to election. And then finally, complete pre-election. He hinted that complete pre-election disputes well in advance before election, so that it will be when we have finished the election, they will now spin up one case that happened a year ago, and all the resources, all the effort down the drain. We need to solve this. I've been so much in a hurry to deliver this. If you have questions, please, I'm still at the back. I can answer your questions. I thank you all for listening.
Karen.
Thank you, Dr. Kwachukwu, former Anambra. Please can you give him another round of applause?